Hey guys, it's Emma from Emma K Plans, and welcome back to a very exciting video. Firstly, it is the first plan with me on my channel in a freaking long time. I do not even know the last time. It's also a plan with me in my main planner, which is another thing that I haven't done in forever. So that's a bit exciting. And then even more exciting is that it is a collab with one of my favorite people in the planner community, and that is Elisa from Plan with Elisa. So somehow, even though she lives in the northern hemisphere and I obviously live in the southern hemisphere, we are using the same kit for the same week. So we decided to do a collab, and that's kind of why I'm filming this video. I wasn't going to do it, and she convinced me to do it, so you can thank her if you enjoy this video. But yeah, so we're using the same kit. I am using it because I'm going on a trip, and she's using it because it's just summer, so it makes sense to use a summer kit. So we're going to answer a few questions that we've got. Elisa made a list. I'm not sure if she made it or found it, but either way, it's a good list. So we're going to answer some questions and then get into the day by day. But first of all, I'll just go into showing you the kit. So the kit is called Beach Club, and I think it was the June mystery from Caress Press. As soon as I got this in, I knew it was the perfect kit for this trip because we went to a couple of different beach clubs on this trip. For those who don't know, who didn't watch my kit lineup video, I went to Bali for my work top achievers conference. They are hosted in a different place around the world every year. This year was nice and close to us in Bali, which was nice. The last one I went to was in Berlin, which was a lot further away, so it was nice to go to Bali, but the vibe of the trip was very much like beach club, lots of party, lots of relax. So it was a bit of a mix of both, and I just felt like this kit was absolutely perfect for that. So it's also really exciting to get to use a mystery kit when it comes out. I feel like it's such a obvious and natural thing for a lot of you guys, but for me, I often have to wait mystery kits, especially 9-10 months a year to use a kit. So to actually get a kit in and then the next couple of weeks get to use it is actually so nice. So I was really appreciative of that, which, as I said, is something that probably you guys take for granted, which is fair enough, but I certainly don't. It only happens to me for the holiday season and then randomly like this. So yeah, worked out well. I use the Essentials format from Caress Press because I just feel like, especially the new Essentials, it's now got the little things. It is literally everything I need, and nothing else. Well, that page actually that I've got there I never use, but everything else, it's the perfect size format for me. So the only thing I didn't 100% love about this kit was the bottom washi. I feel like it was a bit overwhelming. And it also doesn't help that I hacked up my page accidentally. You'll actually see it, way too hard through my page. And so the bottom washi is real messy and yeah, yuck. I also decided to get the foil bundle that came with the kit. So I'm not subscribed to the mystery. I pick it up in shop. So I don't automatically get the kit, but I definitely thought that this green foil was the move. And then I mixed it in with some black palm leaf stuff from Planet Choco, and I think it was the move. From memory, Elisa is doing light pink and black, which I feel like is also the move, and honestly, I didn't even think about that until I watched her video. But I'm happy with my green and black. I feel like it's just not a combo that I would have done ever otherwise. And I always like to bring in some fun, different foils. Also, I don't know if you can tell, but I was talking through this bit and then I decided to talk over it. So that's why I look like I'm explaining something. I think I was saying that I was going to put the bougie underneath, except I have so many extenders that I actually needed the bougie for the extenders, and so the palm leaves just kind of went on their own. Also, as you'll see when I get into the day by day, I decided to color block. I don't know why sometimes I decide to color block and sometimes I don't. I know for some people the deciding factor is if the patterns like match the color, but for me I just kind of, I feel it. As dumb as that sounds, I just know a kit's gonna be good for color blocking or it's not. And this one, maybe because the colors are so like vastly different, maybe that's, I don't know. Anyway, also I filmed the base and then I forgot that I was filming a plan with me because I filmed the base so far ahead and I missed the first 3 days of the week filming it. But that's okay for 2 reasons. One, because it was a fucking shit first half of the week, let me tell you. And 2, I didn't go on the trip till Thursday anyway, so I'm sure that's probably the more exciting part of the week. Anyway, all that's kind of out of the way now, so I'm going to go through and answer my questions that I've got. So, first question is, how many countries have you visited? Now, I could have prepared ahead of time and actually counted them out, but instead I thought I would kind of name them so you guys can let me know if there's any countries that I've been to that you've been to or that you want to go to and kind of make it a bit more interesting that way. So obviously Australia, I don't know if that counts, but I have been there. The place I've been to the most is the US. We always used to go as a family to Hawaii, and we went a couple of times to Disney, and then now that I'm an adult, I just love Disney and going back, so that's the country that I've been to the most. And then close to me, so I've been to Bali a couple of times now, both for work trips, but that's okay. I've never been to New Zealand though, which is like our little brother, which is a bit weird. I've been to China, Sri Lanka and Japan in Asia, as well as Bali, of course. So I've kind of done a bit weird countries in Asia compared to what the normal Australian traveller goes to. And then I've been to United Arab Emirates in the Middle East. In Europe, I've been to Italy, France, and Spain, and Germany, actually. And then in South America, I've been to Argentina and Antarctica. So I've covered a lot of the world, quite a big geographical area. The only continent left is Africa, which actually is the next question. Which destination is number 1 on your bucket list? So that's Africa, and Africa is a very big continent, so there's 2 different parts to this. The first is like South and Eastern Africa, for like obviously safari and animals. And then I also really want to go to Egypt and Jordan, which is kind of Africa, kind of the Middle East. That's like number 2. Well, that's number 1 and number 2, and I don't know which order they're in, but Africa is now the final continent that I haven't been to and number 1 on my bucket list. The other question is, what are 3 other places at the top of your bucket list? So I guess South and East Africa I'm going to kind of combine because I don't mind which I go to. I just want to go to one of them and see the big 5. And then Egypt, Jordan is like the other one. And then recently I've had this real urge to want to go to like Northern Europe. So like I want to do the UK, and then I want to do like Denmark and Amsterdam and like Berlin again and Finland and that sort of area. Whereas I've never really had that urge before. So I don't know if I'd count that as like on the bucket list because it's only new on the list. I also really want to go to Vietnam. So that's another one but I don't know if that's like big enough to call on the bucket list. I don't know. There's definitely daylight between 1, 2 and the rest. So Africa's the big one. Knowing Elisa, I probably have a feeling that Africa's number 1, if not very high on her list as well, because she loves animals. So yeah, Africa. Next question, what does the ideal holiday look like for you? And then I'm going to combine that with where would you never visit, because it's like the opposite to me. So the ideal holiday for me, I'm a city girl through and through. My ideal holiday is going and spending time in the city. So like some of my favorite places on earth is New York and Chicago. Love the city. I loved Abu Dhabi, which is another city, Shanghai, another city, Tokyo. So I'm Paris. I'm really a city girl through and through. So my ideal holiday is the city, is sightseeing, is being a real tourist. Like I'm such a tourist. I love touristy things. You'll always find me on a hop on, hop off bus, like going around. That's my favorite thing. I'm a real big tourist. And then, so where would I never visit? I tried to stay away from like the obvious answers. Like, I'm sorry, but I'm probably not going to go to Syria or Afghanistan or Saudi Arabia for obvious reasons. So I tried to go for something else. And where would I never visit? I feel like I would never go to like an island to just relax, because after a day I would be so freaking bored. Like, I went to Bali in this trip that you're about to see, and I went for 4.5 days, and that was perfect. There's enough going on in Bali that it's not boring, but I feel like people who go for 2-3 weeks, like that I book, that I send them there, I couldn't imagine anything worse. I would go freaking Coco Loco. So for me, ideal holiday is city and tourist, and where would I never visit is like a island. So for me, what's close to me is like a Pacific island, like Fiji or Vanuatu or something. Not because they're bad places, it's just they would send me over the edge. I would be so bored, and that's not my thing. So there's 2 answers. With whom would you like to go on a holiday sometime? Now, I probably should have asked Elisa if this was like a famous person or like someone that's actually a bit more reasonable. I don't know, maybe I'll skip that one. Who or what would you take to on an what the frick? On an uninhabited island? Well, this kind of ties back to where would I never visit. The first thing I would do on an uninhabited island before I starved or before I like drowned or anything is I would go insane from boredom. I hate being bored, and I get so bored so easily. So I don't know what exactly it would be, but it would have to be something to do with staying, like, not being bored, something to do, because otherwise, like, don't even worry about catching a fish or something. If I'm bored, you've lost me. So, yeah. And then last 2 questions. So would you rather? So a theme park or a zoo? This is a really hard question because I love both. But I feel, and it depends who I was going with. I feel like if I'm going with my brother, it's theme park. We are real big theme park people. We love them. If it's my husband, it's probably a zoo because I love animals and I love photography and I love combining those 2. And then the last question is mountains or sea. And I feel like this one's a pretty easy one for me because I live, like Australia, we live by the beach. So mountains. We don't have mountains here, so I love to go and travel to mountains, but I'm also not hiking, so more for the scenery. Wyoming in the States, for example, is my favorite US state because of how beautiful and mountainous it is. So that's the answer to my questions. I hope you guys enjoyed those little questionnaire. Make sure you go follow check out Elisa if you haven't already, to get her take on her questions. I know I for sure will be watching her video. And let's get into the day by day. That, again, I skipped accidentally the first part of the week, but as I mentioned, it was a shit show. So I'll just quickly run through what happened. So on Monday, the color was pink. I started the day really tired, and I used a Once More With Love little panda munchkin to mark that. For work for the week, I used my usual Carly Plans airplane and then the work scripts from the foil bundle. Monday was a fucking terrible day. So I've got a Paper Shire, like, little character just, to me, that's like screaming into the void on the floor, which is exactly what I was doing. And then I used my new Cuddles script. I think it's the new font. I don't know which font it is. It's a new font from Planner Hannah. It's now permanent, which it wasn't permanent when I ordered a shit ton of scripts in my last haul, but I'm really glad it's permanent because I love the font. And then I used a black cat icon because I don't often get to use the black cats because They don't go with everything. And then I apparently was working late that night, so I marked work again. Then on Tuesday, it was a really roller coaster week, like up and down. So I just marked that with a Fox and Cactus little head thing. We had pizza, so I marked pizza night. I was tired from being so all over the shop emotionally and went to bed early. And then on Wednesday, which was green, I listened to a podcast. I go between listening to music and podcasts on my drive to work, so I was back into podcasts this one. I can't remember why, but I wrote You Can't Be Serious, so again, something was making me angry. I came home from work and packed my suitcase because I had to go the next day. And then again, because I was leaving the cats, I spent a lot of time cuddling them. Then we're into what I actually filmed. So I can stop talking so fast. So Thursday was Black Day, which doesn't look great on the black leaves design, by the way. But anyway, it doesn't look terrible. It just doesn't look fantastic. So I worked the morning that I left because one of our other staff members was already on holidays. And then the guy my manager, who also was going to the conference, he went over early, so we literally had 2 staff and I was one of them. So I had to work that day, which wasn't ideal. And of course, as is always the case, people just somehow can sniff out that you've got no staff and that you need to leave early, and they just know it. So it was quite a stressful morning, which is why I used my script again from Planner Hannah in that same font in Overwhelmed, and I used a paper shire, just like crying. I feel like that's my most used sheet of all time, like the one you just saw before, and then this one that are just like crying and screaming, and it's just like, that's me. That's how I feel so much of the time in my job. It's so up and down, honestly, like it's ridiculous. So I finally got to leave, like I tied everything up that I could. I drove to the airport, and I didn't actually put this in, but like even at the airport, my colleague who was left working on her own, like she's actually newish as well, was having issues that she didn't know how to fix, and so she was texting me, and it was just like the most stressful start to a trip. I just really could not go and just relax like I wanted to. I really don't like traveling on my own, so I try and make it as easy as possible, and this just wasn't easy. So I was really stressed. I was really overwhelmed. And then I start to get to the point where I think like, I don't want to go anymore. I want to go home. And it happens all the time, honestly, whenever I travel on my own. So it wasn't a good start to the trip. But anyway, then I met a couple of people there that I knew from like other stores in my area. And we just like hung out at the pub waiting to board. Went through customs, which was actually pretty straightforward. There was no line, which was really rare because I went in July, which is such a busy time for Australians to travel because it's our winter. And then I got on the plane and, well, I guess I put fly to Bali first and then delayed second, even though maybe it should have been the other way around. So the plane, we like pushed back we got on the plane, and then the pilot or whoever gets on the fucking PA and is like, sorry guys, 2 people have failed to board, but their suitcases are on board. So we're going to have to find their suitcases, kick them off, and then we'll be good to go. So that takes probably like 15 minutes. Then we taxi out to the runway, but because I have a window, I can tell that we're not going to the runway. We're just like driving for so long. And then we stop, and the guy gets back on the thing and is like, oh, sorry guys, like we've come into an issue. We don't have enough water in the toilet to get to Bali. We're going to have to go back to the gate and fix it. First of all, how is that even a thing? But second of all, I don't want to know about it. I want to go. So anyway, we ended up probably being like an hour and a half late. And so my 6-hour flight to Bali ended up being 8 hours on the plane. And it was just, because then when we got there as well, there wasn't enough slots like for the plane to pull into, like when you arrive. So we had to wait in a line for that as well. So yeah, my 6-hour flight ended up being 8 hours. But anyway, I had a driver come and pick me up and take me to the hotel and check in, and I think I got there at like 1 o'clock in the morning, so it wasn't ideal, but it was what it was. And then Friday morning we were up early. We actually registered for the conference part of like the actual formal part of the trip. We had to register and get a wristband so that when we were at the venues and stuff, like people knew like that's what it was already paid for. Then we went to the buffet, which I'm really not a breakfast person, but I feel like on a holiday, buffet breakfast is just such a nice way to start the trip. And then my boss, who's also my friend, took me on a little tour on a scooter around the main areas of Bali, because I've only been to the kind of real tourist resort area before, and there's so much more to kind of know, especially when I am trying to sell it to customers. Like, I need to know, and I do know, but it's different when you've actually seen it, rather than just like seen it on a map. So it was nice to kind of go around and actually see the locations and the hotels and that sort of thing. And on our tour, we stopped at the shops because I broke my sunglasses. I didn't bring my Louis sunglasses on the trip because I knew like I didn't want to lose them. I didn't want to break them. So I took my cheap, shitty ones and they broke like straight away. So I had to buy new, cheap, shitty ones. So we did that on our trip, and then we ended up at meeting a couple of other people from other stores that we know at a beach club called Mississippi, and it was just so nice. Just like food and drinks by the pool, and that was like one of the beach clubs that we went to. Oh, my phone is ringing. Let me just decline that. I will call them back. I need to finish this voiceover. So yeah, the beach club was so nice. And then, I've put scooter again. Oh, must not have had anything else. Or maybe, probably because it's above the flap, I didn't notice. But anyway. And then we had our first official event of the actual weekend, which was called Flight Fest. And, my company puts on a big, essentially it was like a music festival on the beach, and they do all drinks, all food, and they had always have like a act or a DJ that kind of comes, and this year it was Panel, which is an Australian group. I don't know if you've heard of them. They're not huge, but I feel like they've had a couple of songs that have broken through and made, like, gone around the world maybe. I feel like you would know their song if you heard it, but yeah, so it was pretty cool, and it's all paid for, and we just turn up essentially, and it was, yeah, on the beach, which was really cool. The only thing was my feet. I have really bad feet, and that's something I've been to the podiatrist and the physio, and no one's really been able to fix it, so I kind of just live with it. But I essentially can't stand for long periods of time. I get ridiculous, even like medium periods of time, not like normal people will stand up for like 9-hour workday and be sore. I can't stand up for like an hour. My feet get so, like, I have real bad heels and they get really sore, so unfortunately, that was the only dampener on the trip. I just couldn't last like a lot of other people. I just can't stand up. And if you imagine like a music festival, there's no seats. So I really struggled, and I ended up making it through this night, but I had to check out of the next night a bit early, which we'll get to. But yeah, it does kind of hold me back a little bit, which is frustrating, but it is what it is. I've tried to fix it, and it's just something that I have to, at the moment, live with. So that was the last thing I put in that my feet hurt. Actually, while I'm a little bit ahead, I'll just mention, so the kind of pauses that you see, I've got my little tray of character stickers off to the side that I'm going through. I thought about like pre-pulling stickers, but when I used to do that and film plan with me, I just really didn't like it. It felt really, I don't know, like sterile, like I was literally just doing things for the camera. So I decided to keep my little tray next to me and just pull in as I need to. I hope the pauses aren't too like annoying or weird, but I did make that decision to keep those in, just because, as I said, it makes it a bit more free-flowing and relaxing for me to film, rather than like so rigid and for the camera. Then Saturday morning, which is under the flap, which is blue day, so we were up very early. That's part of the always part of Global, is that you go out Friday night and then you have to be up so early for the conference on Saturday. And for obvious reasons, you have to go to the conference. Like, that's a big part of the weekend, since they're paying for everything. You can't not go. So it's always a big deal of like, when you're going out Friday night, make sure you can still get up on Saturday morning. So we were up early, and then we went to Global, and I just used a deco from the kit. You might notice that I actually start running out of things to use to mark. I really noticed that with the new Caress Press foil bundle. There's not many just like neutral, generic icons. Like, for example, a star, a bow, a heart, like a little asterisk. Like in the SPC bundles, there's heaps of just like generic things if I don't know what to use. And in the Caress Press bundle, there's not. So I ended up running out of ideas of things to mark that didn't really have a specific icon. So I ended up just leaving them blank. Because, as I said, I don't have a character that really makes sense for what, like, the event that happened. But at the same time, like, I need to mark it. So I ended up just like leaving it blank. So, or using deco in this case. So I used the deco like little laptop. Then the host of our conference was Rove, which I really don't think you guys will know Rove. He's kind of like the Australian Letterman, or who's that other guy? Jimmy Kimmel. Like that's probably the most, like, the easiest way I can describe him. Probably not on that level, because obviously, like, there's so many more people in America, and in America you tend to be more famous, but that kind of character and personality in Australia. So that was cool to have him as our host. Then after the conference, we actually had heaps of free time, which was nice. So we just hung out at the pool, and just like ordered some food and some drinks, and just enjoyed the Bali weather, honestly. It's been so cold here, because obviously it's winter. And then to go to like a tropical climate and just like it's so humid in Bali. So just to be like hot and by the pool and the sun was just like such a nice difference from what it has been here. Then it was time to get ready for the actual Global Gala. So I couldn't find my Get Glam sticker, so I ended up using Play With Makeup instead, which kind of does the same thing, but not entirely. But anyway, then we had the actual Global Gala, which is black tie, formal. So it took me a little while to get ready, because I had to do makeup and hair and all that sort of thing. I wore a dress that I wouldn't have normally worn. It was quite tight up the top, which is not something I normally do. But I was happy with my overall look, actually. I think it all came together really well. But I unfortunately didn't end up feeling very well. My feet were really sore again, because it's like a standing event. Like, it's a sit-down dinner, but then it's a standing event for the rest of the night. And I just felt really unwell. I honestly thought it was the start of Bali Belly, and I was really nervous, and I was like, oh, here we go. I'm going to get Bali Belly, which is like a known thing in Bali, because you can't drink the water, and often ends up, most people get it on their trip. But thankfully, I ended up just leaving like after the official kind of part was done. Everyone else stayed for the after party, which would have been nice, but I just was not vibing. Like, I really was not feeling well. So I pretty much just left and went to bed. And thankfully, I woke up the next day fine. So it must have just been like a little, I don't know, like upset tummy or something, because I really was fine. And then I woke up on Sunday, and we actually slept in, because that's the end of the official proceedings, and then we weren't due to fly out until the next day, so Monday. So Sunday was fully just a chill day. So we slept in, went to the buffet and just got breakfast, and then I had a full body massage Originally, I was planning on staying in Bali until Wednesday, but a bit of an issue happened and ended up meaning that I wasn't going to stay, and so I was coming back Monday instead. And my kind of treat myself moment, rather than staying the extra couple of days, was to get a full body massage, and I didn't care how much it cost. I really was just like, I was going to spend $1,000 on a couple of extra nights accommodation, so I'm going to spend whatever it costs to, I got a full body massage, I got a foot spa, and it was just like 2 hours in total, and it was just the most relaxing thing ever. Like, this was like a full massage where she was like up on the bed with me, like fully like mounted and really getting in there, and it was just so nice. I also did it on my own, which the last time I was in Bali, I was also on a work trip, and we kind of did couples massages, even though we didn't really know each other. It was all like girls, and it was fine, but it was nice to just be in there on my own, honestly, and not like think or worry or hear other people. So that was just such a nice way to kind of finish off the trip. And then we went to another beach club. This one was actually at the front of our hotel, so it was nice and easy to get to. Again, just had a few drinks, some food, and then I moved from sharing with a friend to my own room for the last night. And although it was fine sharing, it was so nice to go in and have my own room. Again, just to not like think about other people, and not, if you want to get out of the shower and like just sit naked for a minute, you can. Whereas like if you're in a room with like another work person, you just can't do that. So it was just nice to have my own room. I upgraded from a twin bed to a king bed, which was very nice. And it was just, it was just nice to have my own space. Then I just hung out by myself for a bit. I was a bit peopled out by this point. I'm not a super social person, so I have a limit of people, and I was definitely at my people limit. So it was nice to have my own room, my own space, and I just hung out. I was on TikTok, I had a shower. I was just hanging out on my own, and it was really nice. And then we went for a walk to get dinner, and I realised that, hold on, I don't have my phone with me, but I know I brought it with me because, long story, I know I had it with me, and all of a sudden I didn't have it with me. So I used to find my iPhone, and it was dropped like at the front of my hotel, but it wasn't there anymore, and I'd pretty much just like written it off, like, no, I've dropped it, someone's taken it. Like, I had a bit of a cry, and then it was like, it is what it is, there's no use worrying about it. And then probably like an hour and a half later, I tracked it on Find My iPhone again, just randomly, and it had moved to the hotel next door. Their like reception, it was right pinging there, and I was like, oh my god, I think someone's found it and handed it in. And so my friend was walking past that hotel at the time, and luckily I had my iPad, and I messaged him. I was like, can you please go check this hotel reception? And sure enough, they had my phone, which was so thankful. And then I had my phone back, I felt better, and then I just watched a replay of the football game that was on before that. And that is it. I'm about to zoom out so you can see. I forgot how out of breath I can get talking this quickly. Overall, I love how this spread came together. I think black and green was such a cool combination, paired with like the pink and the blue in the kit. I'm really happy that I've got this spread here to document like what a crazy weekend essentially this was. It was such a cool trip. I've got all these extenders to show what I did, and just really happy overall. Make sure you check out Elisa's channel, which is Plan with Elisa, and on Instagram, and I will catch you guys next time. Bye.